right into it. So, you know, the interview's on here, but if you want to watch the rest of it, if you can't watch it all, combat.media.island, you need to get there. So, just invite him in. You alright, buddy?
Alright, lad, how's it going?
Not too bad, so I'll get right into it. Obviously, had the perfect start to your Cage Warriors career, getting the win in emphatic fashion. Coming off of that win, how are you feeling for after it?
Oh, it's I'm past that now, lad. You can't be on a high for MMA too long. They end up on a loss again. So back into training, lad. It was nice. It was the biggest win of my career so far, but you have to move on from that.
Yeah, and as well, in terms of that already, obviously, Belfast as well now for Cage Warriors as well. You've got that looking towards as well. So in terms of knowing that you're going to fight in Belfast on Cage Warriors, going into that, how do you think it's going to happen, and how do you feel going into that fight as well?
I've been back in. I was home there for a week after the fight in Ireland, and it was just nice to see everybody, nice to see my friends, family, and all that there. But we've already started preparing for that in Caolan. I've been back for a week now, and I've had an absolutely unbelievable week training. It's like more just technique, a load of grappling, like smash passing, like Gunnar Nelson style grappling. And I just feel like already in a week I've leveled up so much. So 10 weeks time from now, I think I'll be a completely different animal than what you seen 2 weeks ago against Bayaktar, whoever I fight. I think I'll be exactly the same. I think I could level up an opponent, but I think no matter who it is in the Cage Warriors division, I think it'll be very one-sided and dominant. Whoever it is, I don't care.
Yeah, and as you mentioned there, in terms of already, if you go in, you get 2 wins in rapid succession as well within about a 12-week period in Cage Warriors, obviously. I'm sure you know now you're really close to the UFC, technically. You get the belt, you defend it. I'm sure UFC will come knocking. So
slow down, lad. I need to slow down. Take my time. Take my time in Cage Warriors. There's no rush, man. I'm only 25. I've got like load of time left here. I have a 5-fight deal in Cage Wars, and I said in my interview after, like I want that at least. Like I'm hopefully get 4 this year. I'm hoping to get the one I had Belfast in June, September, and then I'm planning in my own head to be a champion in December. And then again, I could go again for Cage Wars next year if my coach and stuff thought I was right for the UFC. I mean, you're never going to turn down the UFC, but I'm not even thinking about that yet. I'm thinking about the guys at Cage Wars level, one at a time, and that's what I'm thinking about now.
yeah, and as well, when you first got that call to say that you'd been offered the contract with Cage Warriors as well, and you were first known about that, how were you feeling once you were offered that contract as well?
Oh, lad, I was saying, it honestly, it felt like a UFC contract in my eyes, because you know exactly what it is. When you win the Cage Wars belt, you know you're halfway there. Because over COVID, I gotta know about you, but like over COVID, them trilogies and Cage Wars, like being on the outside. Like I was looking forward to them as much as I was looking forward to the Apex UFC cards. Just 'cause you kind of knew the local guys and stuff. So when I got that call that I was going to Cage Wars, something's flipped in my head. Like I was like, this is it. Like all my I've been watching Cage Wars. Like I've wanted to be a Cage Wars champion for about 10 years now. I remember watching like Nathaniel Wood and the Indigo and thinking like that. It was when I was on live on BT Sport and stuff. I was like, I'm going to be there, and I'm gonna be there champion. So. Cage War, like that's been my goal for so long. So it was honestly like part of living my dream, to be honest.
Yeah, and as well, and then one thing to know after the first fight as well, obviously straight after that, your brother, I think he was fighting a day later, Tianan as well. Fortunately, the result didn't go his way, but in terms of obviously training alongside him and seeing how he's improving, and then vice versa for him, how is it like to have your brother by your side and see you both become quite successful in the sport as well?
Okay, well, you know, I mean, it would be unrealistic to think that you're going to go through a career in MMA and never experience a loss. Do you know what I mean? Like literally on my TV right now, here's fucking Dustin Poirier and Gaethje. Them boys have both lost fucking, I don't know how many times in the UFC. They've been knocked out. I don't know how many times. So to think you're going to go through an MMA career without defeat would be very unrealistic. So it's just about him learning from what happened. The same way for me winning at the weekends, about learning what went wrong. But we're on this journey the whole way to the top, lad. The whole way to the top of the UFC, really.
Yeah, and then in terms of the cage as opponents, obviously you said your roadmap, you want 4 fights this year, you want the belt at the end of the year. But obviously knowing how many people there are in your division, the talent that there is in there, is there any name that you're really looking forward to getting in there to fight?
Luke Riley. Did you see the post of the weekend?
I saw the comments back here. Yeah.
Belfast. Let's go in Belfast. Like I seen this post. Someone tagged me underneath it. They're like, they just tagged me. He goes, "Who's next?" Someone tagged me, and then he goes, "Let's go." And then I looked at the comments underneath it. It was like the comments was like, "Luke Riley by murder. Luke Riley, whatever way he wants. Caolan fights bums. Caolan's not ready for Luke. Not ready for Luke Riley. The man's been grappling 2.5 years. I will go through him like a hot knife through butter. In Belfast, you want to give me him next? I don't think that's going to happen, though. On his side, that's why I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think his coaches would take it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they think I'm shite and he'd knock me out. I mean, he's a very, very, very gifted striker. I really like his style, and actually, he's got a bit about him. I actually don't mind the lad. But he is not ready to fight me in MMA. If you want me to fucking prove it, I'll fight him in Belfast. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. I just don't think they will take it. I don't think Ian Dean would want that either. Like 2 prospects with like no title implications or anything got there. I don't think they'd want to put that up. Maybe they do, maybe I'm wrong. If they do, 100% yes for me. No fucking problem. That will not be competitive forever as long as it lasts. But I don't think it'll happen. So who else would there be? I don't know. Someone like Wesley Maya, and me and him had a few back and forths. I could fight him in Belfast. Someone like Luke Shanks. Luke Shanks, I don't want to fight him. I had that fight the weekend. I logged on my phone, and every fucking day someone's calling me out doing it. So I can fight anyone. I want to fight Luke Riley after that post. Everyone's saying that I'm not good enough to fight him. I'd like to fight him. I don't think it'll happen though. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and as well as you mentioned there, in terms of the sort of doubt that some people cast over you as well. So every time that you've gone in there so far, you've proved them wrong. Cage Warriors, people were down you, you prove them wrong again. So is it sort of rewarding as well? Not only do you get the win, but you also get to prove a lot of the people wrong, or is that something that's just sort of an added bonus?
Do you know what, lad? First, nothing motivates. I think any athlete but me, nothing motivates me more than doubt. Like people doubting you said that. I fucking love that. So if I go back and when I go and whoop Luke Riley, and I go back and like every single one of them comments, people, I'm gonna comment every single one of these. Fucking told you. I was gonna tell every single one of them. But like I'm after watching Hamzat and Gilbert Burns, and people slagging Hamzat for that win. So you can't listen to these people. Like, you know what I mean? Like people Hamzat in his 11th pro fight beats Gilbert Burns. He's like the number 3 in the world, and people are slagging him. Oh, he just came for a scrap. He's stupid. So like you can't win with these people. Like, so I don't actually care. But the doubt is a motivator, definitely.
Yeah, and as well as you mentioned, in terms of obviously people have mentioned the competition before, but if they look back on your amateur career as well, the competition that you fought there, obviously there's Cal McConway who's gone on and he's become an absolute veteran in the amateur scene. He's done very well, and there's many more names as well. So if you had something to sort of say to those people that are saying you don't ever fight the competition, what is your response to those sort of comments usually?
I don't care. I don't care about what anyone says. I'm gonna run through the cage. Put me down as 0-0. And I assume my next fight is 0-0. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna go through the Cage Warriors bantamweight division. And I know they'll probably after I smoke Luke, it'll be the next guy. Luke was shite. That's what it'll be. Luke will beat him in a few years' time when he's a better grappler. That's what it'll be when I beat him. And then I'll go and beat Nathan Fletcher. Like, oh, Nathan had a bad day that day. So I don't care, lad. To be honest with you.
And then as well, looking at obviously you're training out of Team Carbon as well, and there's a lot of talent there all the way from UFC fighters to other cage riders, and then the amateurs as well. Obviously, brothers involved there, and just a plethora of talent. So to train around those sort of people during your training camp, how much does that motivate you in terms of pushing on and getting better yourself?
Well, like I feel like as a fighter, you have to be the hardest worker in the room every day. You have to be in your own head the hardest worker in the room. But in that room, it's hard because everyone's fucking thinking that's the hardest worker in the room. So like we've got everything from every level in Caolan at the minute. You've got we had 15 fighters, I think it was there, in like 5 weeks. Everything from like flyweight debutants in MMA to heavyweight fucking main events in the UFC. So I just ridiculous level in Caolan at the minute. And this week alone, I was saying this week, I've become not a complete different grappler, but I've leveled up my grappling. My top game was smashing from top like tenfold in 1 week. So like I was saying, in 10 weeks time, I'm going to be a completely new fighter than I was 2 weeks ago for the Belfast yard. So now it gives you insane confidence. Also, like when you like coaches and stuff tell you to do this, and you know that they've already produced fighters at the highest level, you're like, all right, it works. Do you know? Not that you would have a question, but you know what I mean? Like it gives you more confidence than just you've been around like guys from fucking Terry Adam way back, fucking ridiculous level, to now it's kind of like a bunch of like new prospects that are kind of breaking on the UK scene now, you know?
Yeah. And then as well, in terms of, you mentioned how far your grappling's come in just 1 week's time. What would you say is the biggest reason for that sort of shift in terms of your skills improving that quickly? Or is it something that's just happened naturally as you're getting older and you're just seeing the sort of progression happening quicker as time goes on?
Just as the coaching, as you say, lad, I like to I kind of like to make my training like focus heavy on striking for a bit, focus heavy on grappling for a bit, wrestling for a bit, stuff like this here. So at the minute, I'm just trying to work my hip positioning, hip controlling against opponents, body lock game, and just get in a position to absolutely smash these cunts in the Cage Wars division, because I see most of them. I see me beating most guys the same way. I think if I get a body lock on most of them are done at this level. That's maybe I am in humps and ahs. I'm so strong at bantamweight, I feel. So if I can keep listening to Caolan Loughran and Mike Grundy and Ali and these guys to control them from the body lock, if I can perfect these positions, I think I'll smash every single person in the Cage Wars bantamweight division, every single one of them, that way, really.
Yeah, and as well in terms of, obviously, as you mentioned there, going through, you smash everybody, beat everybody. I know you're not overlooking Cage Wars. You said you're going to take your time in there. It felt like the UFC contract had already been at that point. But if you did have to look further on in that, do you see the same thing happening in the UFC as well? But is the sort of a goal year or age that you're looking to be the UFC bantamweight champion, or is that something that you'll just take as it comes? You just know it's going to happen in your own?
I would never set a time when I want to be the bantamweight champion. To say I'm only just 25 here. I've got like 10 years left in this game. I feel like the bantamweight division is like really like if someone wants to like Piotr Jan's after I'm probably Piotr's biggest fucking fan at the minute, but Piotr's after fighting Aljamain Sterling, and like if someone wanted to tell me like that's a level that's unattainable, like that's the pinnacle of my weight class, Caolan, you can't be good enough to beat them boys. I just wouldn't. I don't believe that. I do not believe that. I know I can be better than them boys. I know it for a fact. So I'm not rushing anything. I'm definitely not overlooking anyone at Cage Wars level, because Nathan in the division, he beat me in the amateurs. How could I overlook him?
100%, yeah.
Yeah. So I have to show up in shape mentally and physically for these guys, and just take it one fight at a time until I'm Cage Wars champion, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, and as well, obviously, in terms of what we've seen throughout your career, and even in this interview as well, in the short time that we've been going for, the mentality is extremely strong. It never seems broken. The spirit's always high. But do those lows ever come in? And if they do, how do you usually handle those in terms of being a fighter? Because obviously things like pull-outs or stuff like that could be an issue for you.
What was that, sorry?
So in terms of, obviously, sometimes the lows do happen in MMA. So it could be opponents pulling out late on, or opponents missing weight. So I don't know if it's happened to you before. But usually if it does, how do you handle those situations, or do you just still unbreakable mentality, as you said?
I'll tell you, see MMA, hey, it's a mad fucking sport. See, if you have a fight signed with someone, you can't even almost believe it until, even at the weigh-in, it's until they're in front of you in the cage, you can believe that it's happened. Like, we'll pull out. Like, that's why people say, like, them two people I fought in the first pro debut, they were both last-second replacements on the UK scene. So injuries happen, things happen in this sport, but it's just to be callous on the mind, as they say. See, over COVID-19, the pandemic, like we were training hard, so hard. Like there was them fucking Like, remember Till was fighting Whitaker and Tom and Gunner in the UFC, and I had like I knew I wasn't going to be fighting for ages, but we were still in twice a day, morning and night, punching the fucking head off each other, going through injuries, going through all this here, and you have to like just almost allow that shit to all motivate you, what I had in my head was, I'm just going to keep improving, keep grinding, keep going through it, pull outs, all this shit. Because when I do get the Cage Warriors, when I do get my chance, I'm gonna take it home. I'm gonna blow up through the fucking scene. And I feel only with one fight really against someone with no big name or anything. I feel like I kind of burst on the scene 2 weeks ago. I think anyway.
Yeah, and as well, you mentioned obviously the first two bouts, the people that you did for, obviously, they're very well known for being there at the very last second, and it's an issue for the fighters.
They'll be equally as hard as the Luke Riley fight for me. I'll tell you that much for now.
And obviously, in terms of that, it's very disappointing for a fight. But when you've been training for so long, you just want to get in there. At that point, you don't want to waste your time in there. But do you think that's why some people like to sort of stir the pot a little bit in terms of talking about the competition that you face? Because obviously now the people are seeing the levels in every fight. In your first one, the top control was great in your Cage Warriors debut, but people still want to mention things that happened years ago that were completely out of your control anyway.
This is it, like I told you. I'm seeing people on social media slag Hamza for what he's doing. So you just can't listen to these people. You just have to keep fucking going and just forget about them, because it's just noise. As long as the worst thing you could be in MMA is the best fighter in the world and no one's talking about you. Do you know what I mean? That's the worst thing you could be. So I don't know. Let people talk. Like, I don't give a fuck.
And as well, obviously, we've already spoke about Belfast a little bit. You're wanting Luke Riley next, and you've mentioned how you'll walk through him. But again, obviously, after that, in terms of, you've mentioned other opponents as Nathan, obviously, you probably want to get that win back from the amateur career. But is there any sort of even motivation to maybe even move up and try and become a Cage Warriors double champion as well, or is that just getting a bit too far ahead?
I'm realistic, lad. I'm not a featherweight. Like, there's featherweights getting.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You have to be realistic in yourself too. Like, not that I don't think I could. I mean, I've trained with Jordan and stuff. Like, I know. Like, I think I could do all right, but my physical attributes are a part of my game, and a bantamweight, they're there, and I lose them a bit in a featherweight. So I'm not really. Maybe if it presents itself, but at the minute my goals are all in the 135-pound division, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, and then as well, in terms of, obviously, you've been in MMA for years, your amateur career, you was there for years and now pro, but what would you say is the biggest difference from when you was an amateur to now looking onto the amateur scene as well, to now, what is the biggest difference, do you think, in terms of the overall quality of amateur fighters, or just in general?
Well, look, the amateurs in my gym are probably better than I was when I was starting out. They have access to better coaching than I had, like the likes of my brother there, Jack Grundy, the guys, Yannick and Niels, the Thai boxers, the amateurs.
Yeah.
The level's very, very, very high there, but I haven't really noticed much difference. I don't keep as much an eye on the amateur scene as I used to when I was in it, if I'm honest, lad.
Yeah, and then obviously, in terms of, obviously, you've already mentioned the roadmap, the 4 fights this year, in terms of going through them, but what do you think that the way people are going to see you after the end of this year? Because if you walk through 4 people in 1 year in Cage Warriors and get the belt, obviously, you've got to be thought of as an extremely competitive fighter and extremely skilled as well. But what do you think the one thing that they're guaranteed to know about you by the end of this year, if anything?
I want, at the end of this year, people say, you don't have to like me, I don't give a fuck, but I want at the end of this year, people say, hey, that Caolan Loughran, he is an animal at bantamweight. Like, he is a fucking animal. Mentally, physically, technically, everything. He is a fucking animal and a problem for any bantamweight on the planet. That's what I want at the end of this year. So give me, Luke in Belfast, if they give it to me, a #1 contender fight, whoever that is, in September, and then I want to fight for the belt in December. That's like, so at the minute, say I'm going through just technique, was like 2-3 months between fight to like level up. I think I see a different level of fighter every single time because of my coaching and my gym and my mindset. So I think I honestly, my goal is to like pure dominance in Cage Wars, like every single time a level up and just completely annihilate these cunts. Never overlook anyone, never be complacent, never anything. Just go in, motivated, in shape, ready to go straight through every single one of them. That's what I am, or that's what I want to end this year. People will be like, right, you don't have to like him. I don't care. He's gob-shaped, whatever he is, but he is a problem at 135 pounds. That's what I want to know.
Yeah, and then obviously finally from me, in terms of obviously that's the plan for the end of this year. But obviously you've already mentioned your teammates a few times. But if there's any teammates, your sponsors, anything that you want to shout out, obviously just feel free to go ahead.
Well, obviously the team Caolan, both where I train. Obviously, Bamber Construction, our main sponsors out in San Francisco, and the Concordia Clinic. So that's what I want. And then everyone who's bought tickets for Belfast already, fucking, I've only been selling tickets. Like I got like 50 tickets for the first day. He gave me 50 tickets. I was like, glad I need more than that. He gave me 50 tickets. 3 days later, tickets gone, as I already told you. And then he gave me another 50 like 2 days ago. So in 5 days, I've like 80 tickets gone. The fight's now for 10, 11 weeks. So everyone's bought tickets. Thank you so much. Anyone who wants to buy tickets, links in my bio. And it's going to be some fucking show. So.
Links in your bio. So there you go, everyone. Obviously, 10 weeks' time, Belfast. Do not miss him, as he said. He's going to annihilate these cunts, as he's calling it. So don't miss it, everybody. It's going to be a good one, I'm sure. Really appreciate your time, buddy. And obviously, best of luck. And I'm looking forward to the rest of this year for you.
Thank you, lad. Anytime.
Anytime. Thank you.